This video includes explicit language and frightening themes. Some viewers may find the content disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. I'll be entirely honest with you. I don't really know what to do right now. I just decided to write this on here. My hands are literally still shaking as I type this. I have no idea what happened to me today. For context, my name's Jack and I work at a bottle shop. It's actually not terrible work for the most part. It's owned and operated independently as a small business, so I get pretty taken care of on payday. It's one of those bottle stores that operates as a drive-through. Either a customer comes up to the counter with their alcohol and I scan it through for them, or they pull up in the drive-through and I serve them with whatever they need. Anyways, there's this event in town at the moment. It's an annual thing, and the store has pretty much blown up. I can't really keep up with everything happening, so my boss said he was planning on hiring a new guy for me to work with on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Hence, today's horrifying events. Earlier today at 4 p.m., I clocked in for a 3-hour shift. It was really business as usual, but being a Friday, I was definitely preparing to get slammed. As I clocked in on the computer in the back office, I felt my phone buzz in my pocket. I grabbed it and saw Sam Boss was phoning me. I clicked accept and put the phone to my ear. "Good afternoon," I offered warmly. "Hey mate, it's Sam. You clocking in now?" "Yep, just got to work." "Easy. Listen, you're gonna love me for this. We're trialing a new employee tonight. He should be getting there any second. Name's Damien. You all good to show him the ropes?" Thank God, Sam. I was literally just mentally preparing myself to get overrun with customers. "Yeah, I'll show him how everything's done." "No problems. Look, I'm on my way to that meeting I was telling you about, and I'm just about to hit a black spot, so I'll let you go. Give me a buzz after you clock out and let me know how he went. Keep in mind I'm in and out of meetings until just after 7, all right?" "No worries, Sam. Thanks again. See you." And that was that. God damn, I wish I could go back, turn around, and never have stepped foot into the store that night. But I did. I walked out of the office and into the main part of the store, and saw a short, slightly chubby man standing behind the counter, looking at me. There he is. "Damien?" I exclaimed as I went up and shook his hand. "That's right. What's your name?" he responded excitedly. "I'm Jack. It's nice to meet you, mate. Let me show you around." The first thing I noticed about Damien was his smile. All the teeth in his mouth seemed visible, and his smile literally never seemed to waver. I don't actually remember ever seeing him with a straight face. As I showed him around, I tried to get to know him a little bit. "Whereabouts are you from, Damien?" I asked. "Not from around here," was all he responded with. "Yeah, cool. How'd you find out about this job?" "I just saw the opportunity," he said, his smile quivering. I just nodded at that. I didn't really seem to get straight answers to the questions I was asking. Instead, he would respond exclusively in a manner which operated to provide as little information as possible. I finished showing him where everything was, and we returned to the counter. To be honest, the shift started pretty slow, but Damien and I actually struck a bit of a good system. We would trade customers so as to stagger the workload between the two of us, and whenever one of us wasn't with a customer, the other would be stocking the shelves. Not long after this system was engaged, I realized how clueless he was with interacting with these customers. I honestly just assumed that maybe he didn't have a customer service background or something, but this guy was at least in his 40s. I wasn't sure how anyone could get to that age and be as poor in customer relations as this gentleman. For example, this one guy came in, and Damien didn't even initiate the interaction. He stood there smiling at him, waiting for the customer to tell him what he wanted without any provocation. That struck me as really odd. About half an hour went by, and then service really started to pick up. People were coming home from work around that time, so I underwent what I usually did on weekends: a battering. We continued to trade customers, and although his social skills weren't great, the system was working. I found that I was having to work a lot less hard than I usually did. Then something strange happened. I waved goodbye to a usual customer, and this older lady Damien had just served pulled over to the side of the drive-thru. I saw her arm stick out her window, followed by her head. She looked right at me and waved me over. A little bit thrown, I walked over to her, preparing to get yelled at for one reason or another. "Hi, mate," she said in a gravelly voice. "Look, not to be an asshole or anything, but you might want to review the performance of your colleague over there." She pointed vaguely in the direction he was standing. He was facing away from us, doing absolutely nothing. But even from the back of his head and the way his cheeks looked, I could tell he was smiling. He didn't say a bloody word to me. He just stared at me for ages, then silently went and got my things after I blurted out what I wanted. He also didn't stop smiling once. Yeah, this is his first shift. I think he's just nervous." But I didn't get to finish what I was saying, as we were both looking in his direction, and as I was speaking, a tooth fell out of his mouth. A single tooth. It fell in front of him and bounced off the box that was at his feet, landing just beside him. Me and the woman were stunned. We just watched for a few more seconds. "Love, I don't know what the fuck is happening here, but be careful. I've got to run, but seriously, be careful." She peeled out of the drive-thru, leaving me shocked and alone. I probably watched him for at least 2 or 3 more minutes, which doesn't sound like a long time, but trust me when I say it is. In a silent drive-thru, watching a smiling man stare aimlessly into the back of a fridge? It was just bizarre. I finally pulled up the courage to continue about my work. After that customer, we hit a huge quiet patch. I went to the fridges on the opposite side of the store and began to load them. After a little bit, I heard him moving over to the other side of the shop. I looked over and saw he'd shuffled over to behind the counter now. For fuck's sake, I thought. Now he's facing right in my direction. I continued to load the fridge, and Damien did not stop staring at me for even 1 second. He didn't break eye contact. I could see in my peripheral vision that his outline remained facing towards me, smiling and observing. For 1 split second, I mustered up the guts to glance in his direction and saw a missing front tooth. My stomach genuinely sank. It was the worst feeling. Just as I returned to my work, I heard the gentle rumbling of an engine as a car pulled up in the drive-thru. I heard absolutely no movement from behind me in Damien's direction, meaning it was clearly up to me to greet and serve the customer. Shakily, I walked to the driver's side window and said my usual greetings. As the customer was telling me what he wanted, I heard a clink and tapping sound coming from behind me. I immediately knew what it was, but I still had to turn around to check. Unsurprisingly, he continued to smile, but now there were 2 gaps in his mouth. He'd lost another tooth. "Oh, the guy in the car shouted. "Mate, I was talking to you." "Sorry, mate," I responded, still looking at Damien. He just stared at me and smiled. He didn't blink. He didn't even seem to be breathing. The customer repeated what he wanted, and then it dawned on me that in order for me to scan it, though, I was going to have to go up to the counter and stand right next to that creep. A pang of nerves hit my gut, but I had to do what I had to do. I grabbed his drinks from the fridge and made my way around the back of the counter. Of course, the scan tool decided to shit itself right as I was using it, so I had to stuff around for even longer than I planned on doing. He was right next to me, but I didn't look at him once. I was too scared. I walked around and gave the customer his stuff, and he sped away without so much as a thank you. Finally, the clock on the wall ticked over to 6:55 p.m., and it was time to close. As I turned around to grab the keys from the counter, I yelled. He had been standing right behind me. "For fuck's sake, Damien," I yelled. I was scared. I actually don't know why I yelled that. He didn't change. He continued to smile. "I just need to lock up and get out of here," I thought to myself. I walked around him with a newfound sense of bravery, grabbed the keys and went over to the roller doors. I went around, locking everything, not even caring to check on the whereabouts of my colleague. As I crouched down to lock the last roller door into place, I noticed I had goosebumps. I wasn't even sure why. Then my blood ran cold as I looked in the reflection of the fridge in front of me. That motherfucker was right behind me. My fight or flight reaction kicked in. I turned around, punched him in his liver, and sprinted as fast as I physically could to the nearest lockable door, the bathroom. As I rounded the corner to the back, I heard heavy footsteps behind me, way too heavy to proportionately match Damien's stature, way too fast to be human. I threw the men's bathroom door open and slammed it behind me, locking it on instinct. No sooner had I locked the door than a deafening bang sounded upon it. He was right outside. Words cannot describe the fear I was in. I'm not usually easily scared or anything, and I don't think that my recounting of these events does justice to the horror that would be felt under the circumstances. There was silence for a second, and then an extensive series of bangs rang out on the door. It was like there were 10 men out there, all banging on the door at once. It was such a strong sound. Slowly, it picked up in pace. Soon, the banging was occurring at a seemingly impossible speed. There is not a single chance that whatever was out there was human. No human in the world could ever hit the door as hard and fast as he was. Then, finally, it stopped. Silence. I saw the door handle tremble slowly. I remember thinking to myself, is he just trying to open the door? The trembling stopped, and so too did the commotion of the evening. I probably called Sam like 7 or 8 times, but he didn't pick up at all. I stayed there in that bathroom for hours. I was way too scared to do anything. In retrospect, I have no idea why I didn't just call the cops. My adrenaline was so spiked that the only option in my mind was to call Sam for some reason. Finally, after an eternity, my phone buzzed. It was Sam. I answered straight away. Before I could say anything, his voice rang loudly into my ear. "Jack, I know you're probably frustrated, but that's no way to respond to a situation outside of my control. I've been in and out of meetings all evening, you knew that. Jesus, were you so busy you couldn't handle the drive-thru on your own? Sam, you have no idea what happened. He was fucking crazy. I think I need to call the cops." Just as I was about to launch into informing him of the night's events, his words turned over in my mind. "Wait, Sam, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean I couldn't handle the drive-thru on my own?" "Jack, I've already apologized that the trainee didn't show up. He said he was sick and wouldn't be able to come in. Still no reason to give me an earful for it." My stomach dropped. "The new guy never showed up?" "What?" "No, he didn't show up. He was sick. He said he'd come in next weekend to trial with you. Sorry you've got to do another weekend on your own, mate." His words sat like a ton of bricks in the air. I hung up on him. I swung open the door and looked at the door handle. It had bite marks on it, of a very specific formation. The bite indentations on the wood had one upper tooth missing and one lower tooth missing. I checked everywhere in the store. There was no sign of a struggle. Whatever it was just vanished. I don't know where it went. Every time I think about what went down tonight, the realization just sets in on me again. The real trainee never showed. I have no idea who or what I worked with tonight.